The thunderous knock on my barn door sent a cold jolt straight through me. When I pulled it open, 4 men in black shirts, each stamped with the bold word troll, pushed past me without a word. Their leader shoved a clipboard inches from my face and barked, "By order of the Homeowners Association, we're here to confiscate all firearms on this property. Hand them over now, or there will be consequences." I didn't move, but my hands tightened behind my back as I kept my voice level. "This is private land. You have no authority to be here." He smirked and leaned in closer. "We are the authority. You don't get a choice." His men dropped duffel bags to the floor and began sweeping the barn with their eyes, acting like they already owned it. My blood burned, but I stayed still. "Not yet." Then one of them spotted my old hunting rifle mounted on the wall. "Found one," he shouted, reaching for it. I stepped in front of him instantly. "Back away," I warned, my tone sharp and final. The leader laughed, a hollow, mocking sound. "Or what? You'll call the cops?" "We are the cops now." That's when it clicked. These weren't just trespassers. They were imposters. I caught a glimpse of their belts, cheap plastic badges, fake as their confidence. What they didn't know was who they'd walked in on. Before I ever bought this farm, I spent 20 years in the U.S. Army running covert operations. Instinct took over. 3 exits, 4 intruders, 1 loaded revolver at my hip. I stayed frozen, playing the frightened farmer. "Fine," I said slowly. "Take the rifle. Just make sure you're certain about what you're doing." The leader sneered. "Oh, I'm very sure." He didn't notice my thumb press the silent alarm hidden beneath the workbench. He didn't notice that the farmhands outside were actually retired veterans. As he reached for the rifle, I inhaled slowly. Everything was about to change. The instant his fingers brushed the wooden stock, a sharp whistle sliced through the air. 3 of my men slipped through the side entrance like ghosts. The fake HOA enforcers were too busy posturing to notice. The leader spun back toward me and slammed the clipboard against my chest. "Sign this notice," he snapped, "or we seize every weapon you own and fine you 10 grand for violating HOA safety codes." I glanced down. The document was laughable, a cheap printout with my name misspelled. I couldn't help the smirk. "You honestly think this would survive 5 minutes in a courtroom?" His jaw clenched. "Court? You won't even make it there." He nodded to one of his men. "Bag the weapons. If he resists, bag him too." One thug stepped forward, puffing up like he was about to grab me. That's when I stopped pretending. In a single smooth motion, I drew my revolver and leveled it at his chest. The barn went dead silent. "Step back," I said calmly. Too calm. The leader's face drained of color. Hey, you can't pull a gun on HOA officials." I tilted my head, a cold smile spreading. "Funny thing, HOA officials don't usually wear plastic badges." At that moment, the side door flew open. One of my men stepped in, shotgun raised. "Boss, perimeter's secure," he said, eyes locked on the intruders. Panic flashed across all 4 faces. The leader raised his hands, scrambling for control. All right, let's relax. We were just following orders." "Whose orders?" I demanded, stepping closer. He swallowed. "The HOA president. She said you were a danger, that you had illegal weapons." "I am the community," I cut in. "This land is mine, and every weapon here is registered with the U.S. Army." Real fear finally showed. "You picked the wrong farm," I growled, "and you have no idea who you walked in on." Aside. Engines rumbled closer. "Back up." The leader's head snapped toward the sound. Who's coming?" I holstered my revolver and said quietly, "Military protocol. Phase 1. That's when everything escalated. The barn doors exploded open, sunlight pouring in. 3 black SUVs screeched to a stop outside, dust billowing around them. Doors flew open, and a tactical squad spilled out in perfect formation. No police markings, just a single gold star on each chest. The fake HOA crew stumbled backward, bravado completely gone. "What the hell is this?" one of them yelled, his voice cracking. I didn't answer. My men moved with precision, 2 sealing the exits, the rest forming a disciplined line, rifles raised but steady. The leader tried to sound tough, but his voice shook. You can't deploy a private militia." That's illegal. I stepped forward slowly, boots echoing on the wood. Private militia? No, this is a federal response team. My team, he blinked, confused and terrified. Federal? You? I held his gaze. I wasn't some farmer who bought land after retirement. I commanded a covert U.S. Army unit specializing in counterterrorism. And you just triggered a protocol reserved for domestic threats. His plastic badge glinted as his hands trembled. We didn't know, he stammered. She told us you were dangerous. She pressed, stepping closer. The thug hesitated, eyes darting, then blurted it out. Karen, the HOA president. She said you were hoarding weapons, planning some kind of uprising. She promised us cash if we cleared everything out before real law enforcement arrived. Heat surged through my veins. So you impersonated federal officers and stormed my land because a power-hungry neighbor waved a few dollars in front of you? The men exchanged uneasy glances. Their leader opened his mouth to respond, but the low growl of a pickup engine cut him off. The truck roared up and skidded to a stop outside the barn. Every head turned. The door flew open, and there she was, Karen. Perfectly pressed blouse, oversized sunglasses, that same smug grin like she owned the entire county. She strutted toward us, phone raised. Well, she sneered. Looks like I arrived just in time to see a criminal threatening my HOA officers. I stepped forward, fists clenched. These aren't officers, Karen. They're criminals just like you. She laughed, a sharp, grating sound. You really think anyone will believe you over me? I run this community. When the sheriff gets here, you'll be in cuffs before sundown. I didn't blink. Karen, you have no idea what storm you just walked into. Behind me, one of my men murmured, Boss, Phase 2. I gave a slow nod, eyes locked on her. Phase 2. The next moments would change everything. Before Karen could even process what I'd said, my men moved with precision. Two snapped cuffs onto the fake HOA thugs while another stripped them of their plastic badges and seized their weapons. The leader tried to protest, but a rifle muzzle pressed into his back shut him up fast. Karen's smug smile evaporated. What are you doing? She shrieked, stumbling back. You can't arrest my men. I calmly reached into my vest and pulled out a thick leather wallet. When I flipped it open, the gold federal badge caught the sunlight. Karen froze, jaw dropping. You want to talk about the law? I said quietly, my voice slicing through the tension. I am the law here. These men aren't farmhands. They're my former unit U.S. Army Command, Special Domestic Operations. Karen staggered, disbelief flooding her face. That's impossible. You're just a farmer. Stepped closer, boots crunching on gravel. I earned this land with 20 years of service. You thought fake cops and intimidation would steal my guns and my freedom? Not today. Her hands shook as she clutched her phone. I'll call the sheriff. He'll side with me. Right on cue, a sheriff's cruiser rolled to a stop at the edge of the property. Karen's face lit up until the sheriff stepped out, tipped his hat to me, and said, Colonel? We came as fast as we could. Her mouth fell open. Wait, Colonel? I nodded once. That's right. And now, you're answering for every crime you've committed. The sheriff turned to my men. Load the impersonators into the cruiser. Federal charges are waiting. Karen spun, panic overtaking her. No, this isn't fair. I run this neighborhood. You can't do this. I met her eyes. You don't run anything anymore. One of my men handed me a tablet showing live footage from the hidden cameras around my property. The video clearly captured Karen meeting with the imposters, handing over cash, plotting the raid. The sheriff held it up. This is more than enough evidence. Karen, you're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and impersonating law enforcement, she screamed as the cuff snapped shut. No, this was supposed to be my win. You ruined everything. I leaned in, voice low. You didn't just cross me. You crossed a soldier sworn to protect his land and his country. As she was led away, neighbors gathered along the fence, phones raised, whispering. I raised my voice so everyone could hear. This land was paid for in blood and service. No HOA, no corrupt official, and no Karen will ever take it from my family. Cheers erupted as the cruiser drove off, Karen and her fake army inside. I turned to my men and finally exhaled. Phase 3 clean up and reset. One of them grinned. Yes, sir. Same time next week? I chuckled, holstering my revolver. Let's hope not. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I stood tall on my porch, knowing my home was safe again, and I made a silent promise.